Good afternoon, Warm Springs Middle School students. My name is Joseph Williams, bringing you this broadcast from the Warm Springs News Center. We hope you enjoy.
If you want to tell us your favorite color, go to this link. Please tell us what your color is at the link here or the QR code here. Bye.
Hi, Warm Springs Middle School. This is Nikki Coles from the Morgan County Partnership. And now it's time for a PSA for the day.
So a question that sort of comes up a lot is, what advice would you give your younger self? And if I were to give that advice, I would like to tell myself that you don't have to know all the answers and you don't have to pretend that you do. Because I spent many years thinking that I had to have all the answers, and if I didn't, I pretended that I did. And it wasn't until that valuable lesson that I learned later in life did it change the course of my life. And so I thought what I would do today is just share a few stories, a few things that I've learned along the way, some of them big ideas, some of them small, that have helped mold my perspective on the world, and hopefully it'll give you something to take away as you go on to your next challenge. The United States Navy SEALs are considered one of the most elite forces in the world, one of the highest performing groups of people on the planet. To become a Navy SEAL, they have to go through something called BUDS, which is a multi-month selection process which destroys their bodies, and the vast majority of people will drop out and never become SEALs because it is so aggressive. A former SEAL was asked, what kind of person makes it through BUDS? And the SEAL responded, I can't tell you the kind of people that make it through, but I can tell you the kind of people that don't make it through. He said, the preening leaders who like to delegate everything, none of those guys make it through. He said, the star college athletes who've never really been tested to the core of their being, none of those guys make it through. He said, the guys that show up with bulging muscles covered in tattoos who want to show everybody how tough they are, none of those guys make it through. He said, some of the guys who become SEALs are skinny and scrawny. He said, some of the guys who become SEALs, you will actually see them shivering out of fear. He said, but there's one thing they all have in common. He said, when they're emotionally exhausted, when they're physically exhausted, when they have absolutely nothing left to give, every single one of them is able to dig down deep inside of themselves to find the energy to help the guy next to them. Those are the guys that become SEALs. In other words, the highest performing teams on the planet, they're not the strongest, they're not the smartest, they're not the fastest. The highest performing teams on the planet are the ones who give to each other selflessly. They commit themselves to taking care of each other. And this is what makes a great team. Never forget, you are here because someone took care of you, and you have a responsibility to take care of others. This is what makes you great. This is the core of leadership. We're often told that we all have to be better listeners. You should listen more, we're often told. But the problem is, as human beings, we communicate. And communication involves both listening and speaking. So simply telling people to be a better listener is actually not very helpful advice. Nelson Mandela is regarded as one of the world's great leaders. And the reason Nelson Mandela is a very important case study is because he is universally regarded as a great leader. No matter what country you go to in the world, people will acknowledge his leadership ability. Other leaders, depending on the nations you go to, it changes. But Nelson Mandela is universally regarded as a great leader, which is why he's an important case. And a journalist once asked him, how did you become a great leader? Now, Mandela actually grew up the son of a tribal chief. And he said to this journalist, I remember when I was a boy, I would attend tribal meetings with my father, and I always remember two things. One, they always sat in a circle, and my father was always the last to speak. And this is what it means to be a great listener. It doesn't mean you don't have the opportunity to speak. It means you allow others to speak before you. It is one of the greatest skills you will ever learn, to allow others to feel heard. It's the great leaders who do not start the conversation, they end it. For one, you get all the benefit of all of the smart people in the room. But most importantly, the people who are there to work with you will feel heard. And even if we know the answer, simply walking into a meeting, walking into a classroom to impress everybody that you have the answer makes others feel bad, and they won't want to help you in the future. Practice being the last to speak when you're on a team. It's a remarkable, remarkable skill.
We hope you enjoyed this broadcast. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye. Bye.